Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. Almost everyone is familiar with Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, but our next guest says it's not just an entertaining story, it's also a deep reflection of our own struggles and fears. Here to share more, we welcome back spiritual teacher and author of The Secret That's Holding You Back, Vincent Genna. And Vincent, look at you. You have transported into Ebenezer Scrooge's backyard.
Absolutely, Hannah. It's so great to be here. And this is my favorite time of year. And this happens to be one of my most favorite stories and authors. So I'm so glad we're talking about it.
What a great lens to do some self-reflection. So tell me where we get started here, kind of looking beyond the ghost story of the whole thing.
Well, yes, it was very entertaining, and everybody has been looking at it in that way. We see a miserly old man that's become so selfish, right, and is always thinking about himself. And we can think about so many people in the world that may have become that way, and then how he changes because he's visited by these three ghosts who show him his past, the present, and then the horrible future that's ahead of him if he keeps his evil ways up. But it's so much more than that, because believe it or not, Hannah, when Charles Dickens wrote that story, he didn't realize that he was writing all about us individuals. Every single character in that story, in every single situation, is another representation of ourselves and the difference between the goodness and the badness that can come out of us. For example, did you ever pay attention to the fact that you've got such a juxtaposition with Charles Dickens writing about Ebenezer Scrooge, and right next to him is Bob Cratchit. So Ebenezer Scrooge represents the total negative side of a human, and Bob Cratchit represents the total positive side of a human. And there they are together, both reflecting who we can really be.
And at odds with each other at times too, right?
Oh, always. Well, you see, the Bob Cratchit that Dickens writes about, he also shows this character who is homely and doesn't have a lot of money, though he's very loving. And he's putting across that as poor as you can be and not have a lot, you can still have love in your heart and compassion, right? So Dickens absolutely shows that with him, and that all the money in the world that you can have does not make you a happy person or a nice person, just like Scrooge. Well, that goes with us, right? And how do we go from one to the other? Well, when things are taken away from us, when we feel we haven't had all that we need, if you see the story of Scrooge and talk about his past, right? They go into his past. They talk about how his father didn't want him to come home Christmas time. His mother died at his childbirth, right? And so he had all that negative stuff going against him. And then he loses love all along the way. His girlfriend, his friends, all of that. And he becomes a lonely old person. And what he has to do in order to get back, and this is a message for all of us to be able to do that, those ghosts are truly his own inner hauntings, the hauntings of his past, the hauntings of his present, and what he fears about his own future. That's what the story is really about. It's not about the ghosts coming to him. It's about his sides coming out. And that the way we can all change is by facing each one of those fears of ours. The fear that we are not wanted, that we are lonely in the world, the fear that today doesn't matter. Nobody likes us. Nobody cares. And the fear that because of all of that, we're going nowhere. Nobody's going to even care about us being gone. And it's going to be a miserable passing all alone, which happens to be the greatest fear of all humans, is dying alone. So Dickens puts that all in this one story to talk about our own passage. And you've got to understand the time that he wrote it, during Queen Victoria's reign, was all about a lot of poverty that was going on in England and how that was producing really negative people, and how the poor people could still be really nice, like Cratchit, right? And so he was trying to take a message about how not only to change society, but to change your own inner self by dealing with those personal issues that you have. So it's a metaphysical, spiritual understanding that we have the power to manifest all that we truly want, but we have to believe we're more than the Bob Cratchits. We have to believe that we're worthy, that we are capable of abundance and having that. But if you looked at Bob, He only saw himself as that poor man with just a family and a child who was disabled and nothing more than that. So he couldn't attract anything more than that. And then Scrooge, on the other hand, that side that had everything that he thought he had, other than he couldn't attract any love into his life. He actually pushed it away. Those are all sides of us, Hannah, that we have to deal with in our lives in all different levels, right? So we're not all Scrooges and we're not all Bob Cratchits, but somewhere in the middle, what happens at the end? The most fantastic message is balancing the both, understanding we deserve prosperity, as Scrooge had, but also understand that we are loving, we can be loving, compassionate, caring human beings as Bob Cratchit. So the Scrooge in the end is a perfect combination of both Bob and the Scrooge coming together to show who we really can be, abundant and loving and caring and kind. Right? So that is what's so wonderful about the story, because that's what Scrooge turned into at the end, right?
I like your version of the story, Vincent. It's very uplifting. I could just talk to you all day. Thank you so much for breaking that all down for us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And it's my, like I said, it's my favorite story. And just so that you know, because I'm a medium, that book I wrote, The Secret That's Holding You Back, Charles Dickens helped me with it.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Vincent, you are the best. Happy holidays. It was great to see you.
You too. Terrific. Happy holidays, everyone.
Once again, there is the book, The Secret That's Holding You Back. We'll have more information about Vincent on our website at KATU.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.